Today, I want to walk you through a bulletproof retirement strategy and how to accumulate wealth, save enough money, and be able to retire and have a really good retirement life. So, I want to talk you through very basic mathematic concepts here for compounding growth on your retirement accounts, putting away into retirement accounts and saving for a better future, and how that can actually really set you up for success here. We're going to do some basic math. I'm not going to go into detail on each one of these accounts, how they work. We'll talk a little bit about the maximum contribution limits that you can currently do in 2025 here for these accounts. But the goal of this call is to really just highlight a very basic strategy that you can use and you can really start to implement today to help you to save for a better future in retirement. So let's talk about the bulletproof retirement strategy. So, bulletproof retirement strategy. Okay, so let's talk through a couple of buckets here. The first one is going to be the 401k. A 401k, if you are, probably like 80 to 95% of people that are going to consume this content and listen to this, you're likely working a job, a W 2 job. You have an income source from an employer, and you are likely able to put money into a 401k plan, a retirement plan. Let's actually talk through what can you contribute, how does that work, and what are some of the benefits to doing that. So at a high level, 401k is a retirement account where you can put money in that you are not paying taxes on until you actually draw from it once retired. So, the advantages of a 401k really at a high level are you're deferring income. If you're assuming that you're in a high income bracket now or you're earning a lot of money and you're going to earn less in retirement, it makes sense to pay taxes on that money later in retirement when you're making less money than paying taxes on it now when you're in a higher income bracket. So, assuming, let's just take the standard example of a 25-year-old who is now starting to save for retirement and they are thinking, hey, look, when I'm 60, I really want to have this bulletproof retirement strategy. So, let's talk through the 401k. We're going to make a bullet here and we're going to talk 401k. Now, first, I'm going to pull over a screen and just quickly show you for 2025, you are able to contribute up to $23,500 into a 401k account. That is tax free. So you're not paying taxes on that contribution, but you will pay taxes on it when you withdraw the money, depending on tax brackets and how taxes look once you actually do retire, what your income looks like, and so on and so forth. But let's just, for sake, keep this a pretty round number. And we'll go back to our sheet here. And let's just say that's $23,000 you can contribute. Okay. Now, another thing I want to highlight here is that most employers, not all, and we're not going to account for it today just in the simple math, but most employers will actually add a matching contribution to this. This is essentially free money. You do need to check with your employer if there's a vesting schedule, if you need to hold the money for so long, if you need to work at the company for so long. You'll have to look through the actual specifics in your plan details for the 401k through your employer, but a lot of companies will provide a matching contribution. So if you put up to X percent into that account, they will match that dollar for dollar. So I've been at companies where you contribute, let's say, $20,000 for the year, and they've actually added another $4,000 into that account. This was roughly 2020 or 2021, the years where that worked for me. You put 20,000 in, they're adding another 4,000. That's free money, right? That's an extra $4,000 from your employer. But just for argument's sake, to keep this really basic, let's just say you're going to add $23,000 per year to this account. So every year you are essentially reducing your taxable income by $23,000. So if you make $100,000, you're going to subtract $23,000 and you're only going to be taxes on $77,000 of that income. So there's some benefits to that as far as paying taxes, but we're also starting to contribute to this bulletproof retirement strategy. Now, the other account where you can do similar is called a traditional IRA. So you're going to also have to look into the specifics of there's income limits where you can only contribute so much to a traditional IRA, and then there's no longer a tax incentive, but you can still put it into that account. You can roll it over to a Roth IRA, which is where the taxes have already been paid, and now you can accumulate growth in that account and not pay taxes on the capital gains. these are all topics that we will talk about and cover in different videos. But what I do want to highlight is the traditional IRA is another really good retirement account. And as of 2025, for those listening to this video, if you're under the age of 50, you can contribute $7,000 to a traditional IRA. And if you are under a certain income threshold, I'm not going to look that up right now and go into the details, but you can also defer paying taxes on that as well. So if we add the $7,000, you're now, if you make 100,000, you're not paying taxes on $30,000 of that income, and you're again saving this money. It's going into a retirement account. So there's one other account I want to highlight, and this is sort of a special circumstance, and I don't necessarily recommend this for everybody, but it can work for, I would say, young, healthy, and fit individuals that can do a high deductible health plan. So if you're on a high deductible health plan, I don't necessarily remember the deduction limits for what actually qualifies for a high deductible plan. But if you are on a high deductible health plan, essentially your employer and you are paying for health insurance that has a high deductible. If something happens, if you have some sort of medical emergency, you're probably paying a little bit more with this plan up until you hit that deductible versus another plan that has a lower deductible and better coverage. But the benefit of this is you can actually open what's called a health savings account. And in a health savings account, I believe you can contribute, let's just take a look here, health savings account 2025 contribution limit. It's actually $4,300 that you can contribute as an individual. If you're a family, there's more, and a catch-up contribution for those older than 55. So let's just round that to 4,000. We're not going to include this in the equation, but I do want to just briefly touch on it as a potential retirement account. HSAs are considered triple tax advantaged accounts. So you're not paying taxes on the contribution. You're not going to pay taxes on the growth. So if you invest that money and buy stock indices, you're not paying taxes on that. And you're not paying taxes once you withdraw the money. So if you either turn a certain age in retirement, I believe it's once you're 60, or if you have qualified medical expenses and receipts for those expenses, you can withdraw this money or the compound interest that's grown in this account. If you invest that money, you can withdraw that and not pay taxes on that. So it's a triple tax advantaged account. It's another really great retirement account, and it essentially turns into the equivalent of an IRA or a 401k once you reach a certain age, which I believe is either 59 and a half or 60. Let me take a quick look just for sake of the video. If I can quickly find it. I believe it's when you are 60, but yeah, don't hold me to that, but that is what I believe is the case. So we're not going to talk about the HSA today. Again, that's not everybody's going to want to be on a high deductible health plan. Not everybody's going to be eligible to open an HSA. So we're going to just scratch that out, and we're going to focus today on the traditional IRA, and we're going to focus on the 401k. So with the IRA and the 401k, right, if we start as a 25-year-old individual, this is just going to be a hypothetical scenario. Some of you are younger, some of you are going to be older. We've got $30,000 every year that we're going to be putting into a 401k and a traditional IRA account. Now, if we look at the stock market, I'm going to take what we call the CAGR, which is the compound annual growth rate of the stock market from 1950 to 2024, adjusted for inflation. So adjusted for inflation, essentially your money is worth less over each year because of inflation. We're adjusting the percentage due to inflation, due to the money losing value. If we adjust that for inflation, the annualized return of the stock market is 7.85%. Okay. So we're going to do a 7.85% growth year over year. And we're going to say this is a 25-year-old who starts this account and is aiming to build a bulletproof retirement strategy. Now, it doesn't matter if you're 25, it doesn't matter if you're 50 or 60 or 70 and you're starting to save for these retirement accounts. It doesn't necessarily matter. I just want to show the power of compound interest over time for those younger individuals that might say, hey, like, should I open a 401k? Should I invest in a retirement account? There's a lot of people that argue on the internet that it doesn't make sense to do that. Oh, you can't touch the money, you get penalized if you go to withdraw it before your retirement age, blah, blah, blah. There's all these arguments that you can make for it. I will tell you that time goes by quick, and you do want to think about the future when it comes to investing and saving. And if you're investing in an IRA, you can always roll that over to a Roth IRA, and that money can be withdrawn sooner. The actual amount of money that you've contributed can be withdrawn sooner than when you're retired. There are ways to access these funds earlier than retirement, but I like, for the purposes of argument's sake, focusing on, this is the 60 year to, when you're 60 years old to when you're 85 or 90 years old as the life expectancy goes up, 60 to 85 years old. This is the strategy for these years, right? This is not the strategy for what money you're going to save for when you're 30 and 40 and 50. This is the 60 to 85-year-old, right? Like, this is what this fund is for those years of retirement. Now, if you're building this bulletproof retirement strategy and you start at 25 years old and you invest this $30,000 a year. Now, I understand not everybody is making enough money to be able to put that much away, and that's okay. If we can find a way to increase our income and we can get to these numbers, then it's great. It's going to be a pretty big nest egg at the end that you'll see. So it doesn't necessarily have to be the full 30,000. But if you can do this, this is really going to be a bulletproof retirement strategy. Now, if we take the exact figures that we just put out, I'm going to actually round this down to a 7.5% interest rate for a 25-year-old that starts doing this, and they're going to retire at 60. That's 35 years of growth at 7.5% inflation adjusted. Keep that in mind. They start with $0, right? They're maybe getting a late start, like, how it doesn't matter. Like, you can start earlier, you can start as soon as you start saving money and working, and you can get a 401k or an IRA account opened. But again, you're 25 years old, 35 years of saving. If you can put this $30,000 away every single year, and on average, you're going to get a little over 7.5% return, but we're going to keep it 7.5 for argument's sake. You're going to end at 60 years old, inflation adjusted. So when you read that number, do not think, oh, well, $4 million will be nothing at the time. This is $4 million of today's money. This is inflation adjusted interest rates. $4.6 million of today's money when you are 60 and retired, if you're able to put this away every single year. $4.6 million. And it all starts with 30,000 a year. If you can do it, your employer might be adding some to it here. 7,000 you can find, steal some way, somehow come up with $7,000 to contribute to that IRA at a minimum. Whatever you have to do, a side hustle, doesn't matter. I'm not advocating for stealing. It's more of a joke. If you got to steal it from somebody, find a way ethically to get $7,000 into that IRA account every year. And then for the 401k, if you can make the contributions, you're going to get that tax break from it. It's going to push, you're going to be paying less taxes on your total income. If, you're bumped into a higher tax bracket, you're not going to be paying taxes on the higher part of that because you're reducing your taxable income. Your employer might be matching and adding matching contributions. Find a way to get this $30,000, right? The 7,000, the IRA, the 401k, get the 23,000 every year. The IRS lets you add a little bit more. They inflation adjust it, so next year it'll be 24,000 and 24,500. The IRA will be 7,500, then it'll be 8,000. Find a way to get this 30,000 a year, and then when you have it in these accounts, you buy the S&P, you buy index funds, you buy VTI, you buy VTSAX. These are the stock tickers. These are the mutual funds. These are the index funds that you buy that will get you this 7.85% return year over year. You buy that, you set it up so that it automatically contributes. You go into the IRA. When you move the money, you buy these. And then you maintain this and you keep this up every year. This is what you can end up at by retirement in today's dollars. So it's going to be higher then. Money will be worth a little bit less, but that's what you can end up with. Now, one last thing I'll plug. If you're looking at traditional IRA accounts, I recommend Charles Schwab. I have had a lot of good things to say about Charles Schwab. They acquired TD Ameritrade. I was a TD Ameritrade client. They are now owned by Schwab, fully integrated. I have not had any issues, great support. Everything's very seamless, easy to use, easy to open multiple accounts, link them together. That is my recommendation. Obviously, do your diligence and find out what works best for you, but that is my recommendation. So I hope that helps. That's the bulletproof retirement strategy. This is what we can do to have a bulletproof retirement from that age, kind of 60 to 85 or however long we're hopefully going to live for. And I hope this helps. Think it over and feel free to like, comment, subscribe. Let me know if you have any questions. Thanks, guys, and we will talk soon in the next video.